What is up, Isaac? How are you?
Good. Happy Monday.
Good. I was trying to find some of my games, and I can't find a couple of them.
No,
but it's okay. We're going to go on anyway. So, why don't you introduce our guest co-host on the show?
Yeah, our guest. Yeah. We're joined by Matt Faulisi of Skybound Games. Matt, thanks for joining us tonight.
Oh man, hey, what's up? I was just here backstage, and now I'm live. What is up?
You just throw them in.
Just toss them in.
Yeah, well, it's good to be here. Thank you for inviting me to come and hang out with you. I'm excited to chat a little bit about
games.
Yeah,
and things.
And so before the show, we were joking about what kind of snacks we're going to bring onto the show, because everybody always likes it when we eat food while we talk.
Love it.
It's the best. So what snacks did you guys bring?
Oh, you actually brought food?
Nerds.
What did we talk about? Come on.
We did talk about bringing snacks. That's like a real snack. Actually, I have I have a style of nerds downstairs. Okay. Oh, so you brought snacks.
I just always have these sitting here.
Trident's not a snack.
Yeah. It's all I got on my desk.
That's fine. That's fine.
Burger here.
Oh, the burger. So, so these are gummy clusters, rainbow. So
we have some of those downstairs too. Andy's been eating them.
Do you? Okay.
I would eat those.
Yeah, I'm gonna try them.
Snack. I love snacking, you guys, but I'm trying my best not to snack as much.
I'm not trying. I'm going to.
It's fair.
So ask the first question while I chomp on these nerds.
No, come on. So we're not doing food chat. We are doing video game chat today. So we're talking about games, board games, but how they relate to the world of video games. So I thought I'd start with nice, simple question. I don't have a list up in front of me, but I'm pretty sure the first question was, what is your all-time favorite video game? Which can be a hard question to answer.
That's a tough one.
It's pretty easy for me because I've had the same answer for a long time.
Okay.
Regardless of how good video games get and become, I think it's just always going to be there because of like the time it came into my life and how much I played it and the story behind it. But my favorite game ever is Final Fantasy VII, and 7 is like, and I know there's some really great Final Fantasies before that, and great RPGs, but in 97, 98, that's like, I was like a senior in high school. That game came out. I remember getting like a PlayStation for that. I remember all the commercials around it, and it really introduced me to RPGs, period. I wasn't really into them before that. So I remember I burned through it, loved it. And then just fell in love with everything about role-playing games, like leveling up characters and the deep stories that it told, like 80 hours to play this thing. And then you feeling connected with these characters. So it was really the start of my love of not only like Final Fantasy games, which I adore and it's my favorite series, but RPGs as a whole. I really, really will be fond of that game for a long time to come.
That's a great answer, because Final Fantasy VII came out when I was what was I? I was a sophomore
37
in high school. I was 37.
See, I'm older. I was old. I'm older.
Yeah. So, but I played that. I mean, my high school, so many high school memories are tied to that.
Totally.
And so, it was one of those games where I wasn't a big single player fan. Man, this is such a hard conversation because now all the nostalgia about games is hitting me. Like, how do I not say Time Splitters as one of my favorite games? How do I not say Time Splitters? I mean, how many
multiplayer Time Splitters I've done in my day?
Goodness,
is that your choice?
So many years. No. So I put favorite, and it's I can't say all time favorite ever. It's my favorite as of this minute.
Okay.
Burnout, the Burnout series. Dude. So when
you got to get a little more specific and say Burnout 3, because Burnout 3 is the best.
Burnout 3 and Paradise, I would say, because the open world of Paradise was really good, but I mean, it was just Burnout 3 is just phenomenal.
It is.
And Burnout Paradise came out when my kids were young, and it was one of those games where I could play it. There wasn't a lot of violence and stuff, so I could play it in front of the kids, and I didn't feel guilty. and my kids were into racing their cars and all this stuff, and so they loved watching me play Burnout. So I have so many memories tied to my kids sitting on my lap playing Burnout for hours.
Take me down to the Paradise City.
Absolutely. So
that song plays every time you start up that game.
It was nauseating, but it's fine. Multiplayer Time Splitters was the best. I don't know who it is, but they're in the Facebook group.
There's a monkey mode in that game where you like chased a monkey or you were a monkey, something to do with monkeys and time.
Oh yeah, Time Splitters. So you could pick being a monkey, but the monkey was half the size, like the hitbox was half the size. So man, it was super. It was
a cheat code. It was like Odd Job in GoldenEye. Like anyway, like you had to ban Odd Job from GoldenEye because he was just too small. It just wasn't fair. Monkey. No Odd Job.
So, that is such a good one. Fallout New Vegas. Man, Sunrise Curry, that is so good.
Yeah, put your favorite video game in chat. We'll touch on it.
So many hours. Fallout New Vegas is so good. Oh man,
AJ, which chat are you in? Which groups? I know where to go in and monitor that.
Also, tell us what snacks you have while you're watching.
Have we done a snack one? We should do a snack.
No, we should do a snack one.
Review.
Could do that.
GoldenEye wins for the best old game that's really terrible now, by the way. Like, GoldenEye really
it's hard to go back.
Hold the test of time, I don't think. It's so hard to play still, especially if you like played the N64 version with, it's just like it's almost unplayable. How we managed to do that back in the day was insane.
Yeah. We used to have everybody had to sit in different areas, 2 people in chairs, 2 people on the floor, and like little cardboard cross in the middle so that nobody cheats. So.
What's Isaac's favorite game?
So it's funny because you talk about like generations and eras, right? Of like when you played what, and, being an old guy in the room. Like I remember getting the Nintendo when it came out. Like I remember I had an Intellivision was our first game console, and I played the heck out of Pitfall on that thing. Along with all the other. Have you ever seen an Intellivision? Do you know what the controllers look like for that? Yeah, the giant remote control. You'd slide the little plastic thing in.
I don't remember that one.
It was old school, but and I started thinking about periods. Like played a ton of Tekken in high school, a lot of other fighting, Marvel vs. Capcom. But the one I guess time wise for me means the most to me. It has the best memories. My wife and I were first married. My PlayStation 2, and we, without kids, would come home both from work and we would play SSX Tricky all the time. Like all the time.
I still own a copy of that. SSX Tricky.
It's so good.
So to me, that is a pinnacle of gaming, having fun, remembering like just being so good at it. And she was so good at it. And we've always been hyper competitive with a lot of things. So Tricky was like, that's to me probably the one that's got the best game plus memory combination. And you were talking about playing with your kids. I think about that too. Like, I mean, Ethan and I played the heck out of all the Lego games when they came out because they were easy to play, right? We could play them together. I could do all the stuff and he just kind of, followed along and did random things. But
I see so many people putting up good. Metal Gear Solid, love Metal Gear Solid, Solid Snake. I've played all of those. The Age of series is great. Age of Empires 2 just had a really good remake. It didn't come out too long ago. Age of Empires 2 is all those games are super solid. Give Derek a big hug. Just kind of going through the chat. Super Mario 2. You think that's the best Mario? 2
is real good. So
I'd probably say 3, or Super
3
Mario
is fantastic, but
definitely would say 3.
2 is very.
I almost picked 3 as my all-time favorite game.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Power Stone too. Power Stone was fun.
Rush 2049 is going to come back up in a little bit. So.
Power Stone and Rush is Rick White.
Another one up there for me is Castlevania Symphony of the Night, which also came around 97, 98, and Symphony of the Night is it's like the best 2D Metroidvania, as they call them now, side scrollers. It like defined the genre. And I think a great thing about Symphony of the Night and why it's so good is that game is as playable today as it was when it came out, and it's still incredible. Like you can play on any system right now, and it's still just as good and amazing. Like, love that game.
Resident Evil 4. That is, I
I
mean,
just finished that remake. I just beat
oh,
Resident Evil 4 remake, and it is currently my favorite game of the year. There's a
I
ton of
need to
games
go
coming
back
out,
and play
but
that. Yeah.
RE4 is awesome.
So that's awesome.
Wow, man, we're
This
cutting through some gems.
Yeah, it's so hard to pick because I'm sitting here thinking about all the other games. So, Isaac, you were talking about you and your wife sitting down and playing SSX Tricky.
Yeah.
In college, me and my wife kept renting. We kept renting. What was it? Dungeon crawler. 4-player dungeon crawler. Everybody knows it except for me right this second.
Not Diablo.
No. Wizard needs food badly.
Oh, the
Gauntlet.
Yeah.
Gauntlet.
So Gauntlet,
Oh, man, I love Gauntlet.
So Aaron and I played Gauntlet in college so much that she got addicted to it, and she told me, she said, "Ryan, we've got to stop playing." I was like, "Why?" She said, "Last night when I closed my eyes going to sleep, I saw spinning hams
Gauntlet
in my
Legends.
sleep. Like when I would close my eyes, I saw a piece of ham on a shank spinning, rotating, and I was like, yeah, you got video game addiction, girl."
Oh man.
So
Scott's got it in there too. Metroid Prime.
Yeah, Metroid Prime's incredible. I haven't mentioned it. It's amazing. You know, I like Metroid Prime as much as Super Metroid. I know a lot of people really, think Super Metroid's one of the best ones there, but Metroid Prime, again, that's another one on Switch. I just got the remake and it's fantastic. Remake.
It's kind of like it's like picking the favorite board game, favorite movie, favorite TV show, right?
Yeah.
It's hard to encapsulate this.
Yeah.
So let's make it even harder.
Well, our next question, actually, we're gonna we might as well keep talking about this because we've talked about a lot of classic games, but what's your favorite old school arcade game?
Yeah.
And this also is like one of my favorite games, period, but I didn't mention it because I knew this question was right here. But Street Fighter 2 is like Ryu, and Street Fighter is my jam and always has been ever since 2. My dad actually had an arcade when I was growing up. He actually had a newsstand that he ran, but in the back was this full arcade, and he had every new game ever. So, and I have fond memories of him going in to do bookwork, and he would do this bookwork, but he would just turn on all the games and put them all on free play, and I'd play arcade games, and I really got into the fighting games like Mortal Kombat and Soul Calibur. I saw was already mentioned.
Tekken was my favorite of the fighters.
Tekken was so good.
Yeah, so and I do kind of put Street Fighter 2 as an old school arcade game. I know someone said question mark with that maybe, or maybe they weren't talking about that, but I mean that's where obviously we could go back and talk about Cube or Pac-Man and all those, but for me, Street Fighter 2 is an old school arcade game for me.
I think anything from the 80s is solid old school arcade game.
What's Police Trainer? I don't know that.
So Police Trainer, Police Trainer was either the one where you're a group of cops going room to room, or it was I think it was the cops going room to room, if whoever Facebook user is.
That's Rick.
It was Rick. Yeah. But yeah, that was fun. It was like, and then TMNT.
And the Simpsons 4-player one.
Yep.
The Marge with their vacuum cleaner.
Yes. The Pizza Hut near us had the TMNT, and so we would go get pizza, and that was like, can I just blow $100 worth of
chips? They were playing on those like the ones were like a table, right? The ones you would sit down at the top of
Pac-Man.
Yeah, they had all
Galaga,
they had all that stuff.
Used to play a ton of Galaga on those things.
So I would go old school. I would go Mortal Kombat at the bowling alley. I was on bowling league, and after bowling every Saturday, I would spend at least an hour playing Mortal Kombat 1, 2, 3. I remember having all the fatalities like written on a sheet of paper, and I would just go in there and just wreck shop. And so at the bowling alley when I was a kid, and so I loved playing Mortal Kombat. And then Rush 2049 was the finding when you found a new shortcut. You just felt like balls. You're like, you bust through some barriers, you just fly over something. You're like, I'm in the front of the pack, son. Look at me.
Dude, they have a new one of those. It's in like our current arcade. I don't know, it's Rush San Francisco or something. It's like it's a newer Rush. And I take Andy up to the arcade. We played air hockey, and he loves that game because it's still just as crazy. It's still like double tap gas to boost, and like you're doing flips off of little
Dig
hills, and
Dug,
it's awesome. Got
I
some
love
Dig
Dig
Dug,
Dug.
Marvel vs. Capcom. That's an
Marvel
awesome
vs.
Yeah,
Capcom. So
we got
I had a friend. His name's Brad, and he was so good at Marvel vs. Capcom that he would school people, but he acted like he didn't know how to play. So
Yeah.
he would like lose a fight, and then people would line up to go up against him. And so people would be putting their quarters up, and he would go up against the first guy, and just to show how good he was, he would start playing, and then he would completely turn around, and he would start talking to somebody else and beat the crap out of the dude. I mean, he would just murder the other person while he's having a side conversation, not even looking at the screen.
I love Marvel vs. Capcom.
Oh, so good.
Dig Dug is another good one we put on there. Hank is the one that mentioned Major Magics. That's one. It's closed for us, but it was like a local version of Chuck E. Cheese, right? They had their own animatronics, and so I remember going to the arcade, going to Major Magics, going to Red Baron at the mall, and I don't know. For me, it's always stuck with me. My favorite is Burger Time. It's always been my favorite.
Burger Time rules.
Burger Time's good.
Old school game.
Yeah.
Like the pressure of that game. Like I enjoy old school. Regular old Pac-Man, Mrs. Pac-Man, but I feel like those don't give me the pressure. Like Burger Time feels like pressure, like constant. Like I don't know if I can do this. I'm pretty sure I can't. And I love the pickle and the egg and the hot dog and the animation of that game. But that one was always like my go-to. Like if I could find it, I'm like, oh, I'm playing.
I gotta give
Burger Time.
I gotta give Root Beer Tapper a shout out too.
Awesome. Yeah, so that's a good one. So.
Yeah, we had a few other. What do we have? Marvel vs. Capcom, the Jurassic Park with the curtains. Okay.
Yeah. So House of the Dead, man. House of the Dead, so good. Or what was the time something? What was the time one where
Time Crisis?
Time Crisis.
But
I'll say something with those curtains. I think anything that has like where you put curtains around yourself and it just it makes everything dark around you. It just kind of puts you in there a little bit more. There's a really cool Halo arcade machine out now too, where you sit down and shoot.
I've seen that.
But anything. Yeah, you give me some curtains and we're
the Luigi one. They have that one with the where you're kind of closed in. I loved all the old, it's just good memories. Like I'd go with my grandparents like every Saturday. My grandma would get her hair done. My grandpa would take us to the arcade. He'd give us a fistful of quarters and say, go have a good time while he ate ice cream because he wasn't supposed to because he was diabetic. Yeah. But like it's just like it was fun stuff for what all that looked like. So
the race. Scott just said for arcades, it's about racing and light gun games and
Outrun. That was good.
Area 51 was one.
Remember Daytona USA when they had like 4 to 8 of those cabinets put together and you could
and you just race the circle and just edge out people. I loved it. What about Aerosmith?
That was Revolution X.
Oh, there it is. Somebody just mentioned it.
Somebody read your mind.
There we go. I was like thinking about it.
That was Rick.
There we go. Yeah. So
Altered Beast,
Altered Beast was such a bad game. Like it was an objectively bad game when you get down to it, but we still played it.
Yeah, well, of course. So that's all we had, man. We didn't know any better. Like
that's true.
You can look back at these classics, and that's why the old nostalgia is so interesting with video games because it generally doesn't last long, right? You're like, man, Altered Beast used to be awesome. I'm gonna go back and play that, and you play it for 2 seconds, and you're like, I'm good. Like
what is happening? Yeah. Hey, just a quick snack break. This podcast is sponsored by Nerds Gummy Clusters. This is the first time I've opened them, and they're delicious.
I thought it was
Nerds.
It's normally sponsored by 25th Century.
Also sponsored by 25th Century Games. Yeah.
Oh, geez.
I varied it up tonight. I went with them.
I left my 25th Century hat at home.
Hey, listen.
I am home. I don't have one.
Chad, get on. Where's Chad?
I have a Capstone Games hat I like quite a bit. I wear it often.
You could sponsor this podcast, this video podcast. Just send us stuff to wear. So, Meeple Crossing T-shirt.
Chad, get this man a hat.
25th Century. So,
what's our okay? So our next question is let's games.
Move on since we've talked about every game under the sun.
What seems to be easier: video games made into board games or board games made into video games?
Yeah, so I mean, obviously, this is what kind of brings this whole video game conversation to light, right? Is like how like we got talking about board games and video games and crossovers and like what works and what doesn't, and what makes a good board game. It's like such a tough question because I think a lot of people want to try to do their best to do a one-to-one, like fit every single thing from the video game into a board game, and make it that, like they want to get the feeling of the video game, but sitting down at the table with other friends. But sometimes that doesn't work. Sometimes that's just it does need to be modified for a tabletop. And like, what does that look like? I think it's ultimately pretty difficult. But it has. I've played good video game board games. I've played ones that I didn't really like just because I would prefer to play the video game. I've played some board games where I've thought, I wish this was just a video game. That has nothing to do with it. But I think for me, again, I just think people try to do too much one-to-one, like, get everything in there. I don't know if that was the question, but that's what my answer to whatever it was.
I think the board game into video game is a little easier and it's a little more acceptable. I think you look at something like Slay the Spire. It's a deck builder. I mean, you're teaching these mechanics, these board game mechanics in a video game setting, and people are totally accepting of it. Whereas some of the people may not sit down and play a deck builder. They may not, sit there and play Hero Realms,
Right.
So I think that's the easier one. Two video games that were essentially board games that I thought of when looking at this question. Coldicep. Have you guys ever heard of Coldicep?
I have not.
Nope.
Okay. So Coldicep was PlayStation 2.
Oh, no, wait. I have. My head was in board game land. I have heard of the video game, yes. But
okay. So Coldicep is really interesting. It was basically a square board, and you had a starter collection of cards. And as you go around the board, your cards, you're basically, it's kind of like Monopoly and Magic had a little baby. In video game terms, and so you've got the square board, this ring that you're going around, and you can plant a card on a space. When another player lands there, they have to choose another card fighter, to go against the card that's there. It was really, really cool, and I wish that series had continued. I think there was only 2 or 3 games in the series, and I mean, it was like the third one either never got released or it was only released in Japan. Yeah. And then the other one is a game called Eye of Judgment.
I had that. Do you still have Eye of Judgment cards?
Oh yeah, heck yeah! I got my starter pack. Boom!
You got a binder.
Binder.
Eye of Judgment was amazing. So for those of you who don't know, and I'm sure Ryan can tell us all about it here, but it used the PlayStation Eye, which was a camera, and the camera pointed down at this map. And you basically were playing like chess, but I mean, it had its own rules. It was a tactical card game, but every time you placed a card down, the camera would pick it up and make it a digital 3D thing in the video game, right? And then you would move it around, and there'd be really cool animations.
So good.
It was so dope. Yeah, the tech was kind of, it was so early for that style of tech. Like, it was ahead of its time. That's what I'm trying to say here. It felt ahead of its time. The game, thinking back on it, man, have you played it recently? Like, was it good? Because I
played it probably 6-7 years ago. Because I showed my son, because Josiah was really little when I got into it. I mean, I got deep into it, man. Like, I got a couple other friends into it, and I was trying to collect everything. That's why I still got a binder full of these cards. It was really cool. I still have the it's the stand. Here it is.
Fall out of your chair again.
Yeah, I know.
Yep.
So it's a stand.
So
you hook in the webcam, basically, and it looks down at this map. And so
I had that, dude. That thing was awesome.
It's wild. It's so good. And it was basically like hieroglyphics on a card. It animates this dragon or blob, and then you fight with it. It's so cool.
Nice.
So.
I'm trying to remember what I had. So I tend to agree with where Bob and Scott were. The board game to video game, and specifically like digital app versions of board games. Like, we find that we play a ton of them. It was, especially during the pandemic, it was easy to play it, but like playing Ticket to Ride in our house when we're all too lazy to get up. Everybody has their device. They all connect, unit to unit, like just sitting on the couch, and the train whistles and you know whose turn it is next. Like, for me, I love going with a digital version of a good board game. And you're talking about, with like this iGame, like Pokemon, Magic. And for me, after we stopped playing Dice Masters, we started playing Light Seekers, and Light Seekers was trying really, really hard to make that transition work seamlessly between my digital collection and my physical collection. And they had a good scene going. Like, we were on some good competitive stuff, and there's various reasons that failed like it did, but it was a fun mechanic that it worked really well for apps similar to Marvel Snap. There were some things that were smoother in the app than they were in the card base, but I loved playing it in the app version.
That's cool. Yeah, looking back at the question, I didn't answer it, but I don't like I think because it was what seems to be easier, video games to board games or board games to video games. And I honestly don't even know the answer to that question. I think because it kind of comes down to like what you enjoy, but what would be easier to make? I mean, video games are hard to make anyway, like, and I guess, what game, again, the one that I want that is a board game now that I would love as a video game is the new Chip Theory Gladiator one that like the Victorum.
Yeah.
I can't say I can't say.
Yeah, Hermonculus or
I'm just gonna let you guys struggle through it. I have no idea.
Yeah,
all good.
Some words
would make it. It's a solo game. It'd just be really cool as a video game. But yeah, carrying on with our question. What's
next question we have is, what is an example of a transition that didn't work well? Maybe a video game trying to go to a board game trying to go to a video game. Is there something that there it is. Hopalomachus Victorum.
And I don't even need graphics in the thing, man. Just like give me the chips, give me the cards, and throw it digitally. I just want the computer to do the AI, right? Like I'm
and
I think that's a me like I want to like solo games more than I think I actually do. But
it's hard. It's hard for me to get into solo gaming. But there's a couple.
So when did it work well? Or when did it not work well? I'm sorry. When did the transition not work well? Maybe something was trying to go board game to video game to board game, or they were trying to get some of both worlds maybe, and you were maybe a little disappointed.
All right. So I think I'll say where I think in recent memory, one that didn't work for me, but I do know there's people that like it, and it's already been mentioned in the chat, was Dark Souls, right? Like I'm a huge Dark Souls video game fan. But when I got it to the table, it was again very difficult. I mean, I was dying all the time. So I guess that's a job achieved, right? Like that's what you need to be doing in a Dark Souls game, is dying a lot. The problem for me though just was that dying a lot meant a little bit of like reset, or like I had to start the map over, and it was just more time than in the video game where I could just restart at a spawn point and keep going. I would get less angry at the game than I did actually at the board game, right? Like I thought that the miniatures looked cool. I thought the graphic design was really good. There's a lot to like about it, and some people still really like that, and there's a ton of expansion stuff for it. But for me, it didn't work because I just kept dying and I didn't really like it that much. That's one where I was playing it and I'd just rather play the video game, One that did work, and I have it with me right here. This is new. This came out. Oh.
Siege 6.
This is called Deep Rock Galactic, and I got to give them a little shout out here because now this is one that they did try to put like just about everything from the video game into here. I mean, it really like this is, and if no one knows, Deep Rock Galactic is a game that is about dwarf mining. It's a multiplayer game.
My son played that a bunch.
Yeah, it's a mining game. But you're fighting monsters as well. Multiplayer. We would each pick a different dwarf, go into the mine. The board game does it really well. I just think it had that, working around the map. I'm not sure if you'd be able to tell on here. But you can kind of see the hang on a second.
Zoom in.
You see how there's like negative space
Yeah.
Around there, you can dig through all of that, right? So there's like tiles and stuff that you put on the map, but you can essentially grab your pickaxe and just work your way anywhere around. So if you want to like make a shortcut, you can like make your way around. And I just thought that was neat and kind of unique. So I got to give Deep Rock a little shout out for being a board game that was a video game that I
Yeah.
liked a bit.
Nice.
I can't think of one offhand. This was one of the questions I struggle with, but I think that one that I would not want to play the tabletop version of is Monster Hunter. I love Monster Hunter. I've played multiple Monster Hunters over the years, and I see that it's a board game now, and I have
Yeah.
no desire in any capacity to play it.
I'll mention. I want to shout out on that one for a second.
Okay.
Because
it might be great.
Monster Hunter is one of my favorite IPs. I love.
Yes.
I've played a lot of them, even dating back to the first one that was on PS2.
Yep.
When you had to you could get online with it, but it was a pain. But regardless, Monster Hunter was online.
You had the whole pack that had to snap into the back of your PS2.
Man. Yeah, all the way up to the most recent Switch one.
Yeah.
So I play lots of Monster Hunter. I think I was just at a show and Steamforge was there, and I was at their table, and they had this game all laid out. I've never wanted to try and play a thing more than I wanted to play, because I'm telling the monsters, they look awesome. I mean, obviously big, giant, cool looking dragons and stuff. And I just wanted to try it and see how if it has that feel. I'm curious about it, right? It's not anything I'm running away from. I think the only thing I'm running away from is the price, because I'm every game is so expensive nowadays. But otherwise, I think Monster Hunter looks awesome, and I hope I do get to try it at some point.
It looks awesome, but here's where I struggle with the concept of making this a board game. How do you make it feel like you're tracking down this monster when the monster in Monster Hunter escapes, gets by, and then it runs off, and you're trying to re-engage with this monster? How are you doing that?
I almost think it's probably I don't know the rules. I don't know how the game plays. I've only seen it set up on a table. I would imagine it's just about the fight. I don't know if it's much about it escaping.
It's probably just
tracking it.
The section, a section of the game more than.
I mean, at the end of the day, have you ever played? Either you played Kingdom Death Monster or Kingdom Death?
No.
KDM.
That's like Monster Hunter, by the way. Really, you are a person who is going out doing these hunts, and when you kill a boss, you get their parts, you turn their parts into gear, which level you up, and the gear you go to fight stronger monsters. And there's things between it where you're tracking the monster, and it is that. I always thought that Kingdom Death kind of felt like Monster Hunter in a way, but Steamforge has really done a lot with video games. I mean,
they have.
They have a Sea of Thieves one coming out. They're doing Monster Hunter. They've done. They were the ones that did Dark Souls, I think, and they're doing Elden Ring was just a smash on Kickstarter that raised a ridiculous amount of money. So, I mean, they're doing it. They're in there trying to make this thing work. And I gotta give
some are going to be hits, and some are
I think that's with anyone, right? But got to give them some credit for out there finding something that people want. They do. People, the Kickstarter funding that they're getting shows that people want this stuff.
Right.
100%.
The desires there.
How about you, Isaac?
So we talked about old school games. I got sucked into this Kickstarter, and Brian and I have talked about this before. I just mentioned it's my favorite game of all time. This was Burger Time, the card game.
Yeah, there it is.
And this game's awful. It's just
that's a card game, Burger Time.
Yeah, it's a two-player card game.
I remember seeing it online, and I was like,
best thing it's got is the magnetic.
You gotta love those magnetic lips.
But even the art in it, they just straight up, it's just digital. It's not good. I wanted it to be so much better. The best thing I got from this was the art print from some artists with the Burger Time characters, but it's very easy. To me, it just shows the slap an IP on something and could be good, right? There's the Pac-Man, or rare good, but it's likely not going to be the Pac-Man board game I have. That's okay, not the rare Pac-Man one, but the Target brand one.
Yeah,
it was. My brother is a hardcore Pac-Man fan, and he actually liked it. He was like, "It's pretty cool."
Yeah, I wanted to like this. I have not played that.
I backed it. I did back it. But It's the only thing I have currently backed on GameFound. And thank you, Bob. I know I have magnetic lips.
Oh, wow.
I knew that as soon as I said it, I was like, oh, someone's gonna.
That's that word will,
And it's Bob.
will never
Hello, Bob.
live down.
Of course,
Guys, I'm just a quick nerds gummy cluster update.
Oh, here we go. Word from our sponsor.
I'm down. A note from our sponsor. I hope somebody's watching from Nestle. Is it Nestle?
Yeah, they're gonna send you a cease and desist.
Somebody makes it. I've got about 6 clusters left, and I'm gonna polish this.
This is the first episode Ryan's eaten during the episode.
No, dude, these are real good. I was gonna pop one or two in my mouth, but these gummy clusters are where it's at.
I have some. You're gonna make me go downstairs and get my nerds gummy clusters because I have some too. So
man, they're real good.
I'll tell you what. Why don't when let's see. What's our next question here? What are key elements to the transition?
What are the key elements to a transition working well? So we talked about games that don't work well. Like, what do you love to see in a video game coming into a board game? Like you mentioned, Matt, like you can't shove everything into the box always. But like, what are some transition elements that are key to like this is going to work well?
I don't know, man. That's a tough question. I'm not sure. Like, as someone who was also, I was working on a design that was a 2D roll and write that like your character moved along like a path, like, but it wasn't really working. It was just like I wanted it to work. It was like a Castlevania style game, and it was just like I couldn't make the video game thing fun, so we had to like look at how we the whole thing, and the game is totally different now, but I couldn't make that part work. I just think it's gotta be fun on the table, and it's gotta have good interaction, I guess. I think just a lot of video games, while being multiplayer, sometimes like solo experiences, just like video games where you're just kind of doing your own thing. And this is a really hard question, I think, to answer. I think what's interesting is like the Slay the Spire one is very interesting to me because Slay the Spire is a video game that's essentially based off of, like Ryan said, a deck builder, right? Like it is based off of board game mechanics and so then they're doing, and so now the video game got insanely popular. Slay the Spire is incredible. I did Sunrise asked how Disney Lorcana was. Very good. It's great. You'll like it. Grab a couple decks, you'll have fun with it. But the Slay the Spire board game is like them making a board game based off the video game based off of board game mechanics, right? It's like Street Fighter the 2, the movie, the game, right? It's the movie
oh jeez.
But that's a movie that was based off a video game that was a movie that was based off a video game, right? Based off of, I don't know. It's just another one of those layers that just doesn't need to be there. I hope it's great, and I know again people are gonna eat it right up. Dead Cells is another one. So Dead Cells looks interesting to me because they are doing some card play with it, and that is a roguelike. So I'm more interested in seeing how Dead Cells plays out more than Slay the Spire, because in Slay the Spire, if it's just the same thing, I'll just play the video game. Like I do love handling cards and playing cards, but I always have my Switch on me, and it's on my Switch, so it's like I could play that game kind of anytime, We'll see how the co-op works. There's going to be other players too.
I think a board game becoming a video game, you have to share some of the same mechanics. I think that if you took Clank and made it a video game and took out the deck building aspect, it's just a dungeon crawler. It's no name dungeon crawler. It's just whatever. I think you have to keep the game, the card play mechanic, the scoring mechanic. You have to keep something of it to kind of point back to the source in my mind. So, but yeah, it's I don't know. I just really. Oh, sorry.
No, you're good.
There you go. Yeah.
So it's just one of those things that I wouldn't want to play something that was so far. I was thinking about it because Zombicide's sitting right in my view here. I would love to play a Zombicide video game. There's tons of zombie video games, but I think something about the dice and the pressure luck aspect and using your special abilities and cooperatively working together, I think there's something about that I really like. And if Zombicide was turned into a video game and it was just run and shoot stuff, there's no chance I would play it. I would still want the pressure look. I would still want the upgrading your perks and collecting things, So
Yeah, I think for me the way it works is it's got to be thematic, right? It's got to have the theme of the game, which is a point I really want to. Honestly, I want to bring Bob back on to talk about this. We've been talking about this the last like 3 nights. The difference between a game's theme and a game's thematics, and that those are 2 very different things. A game can have a theme but not be thematic. Which anyway, but for these games to work well, there has to be both of those things going well. And one of the things I think about is something like Divinus or the other one from Lucky Duck, which it was my game of the year, and it's completely slipped my mind. Destinies. Like I want those to have like theme, and I want them to.
That's what I'm talking about right there.
There it is. I need those. I need those games to have like to be to make me feel like I'm in the game. And to me, like I love the way Divinus really has done that. I'm excited to get it and actually try it. So our last one before we get into a little Matt specific info. What is your dream video game into a board game? What video game would you love to see made into a board game?
I don't know, man. I'm full of nerds right now.
These are so good, aren't they?
I had to go down and get some. You just made me. You made me feel bad. I didn't have a snack.
All right, I'm done. Last 2.
Did you answer Scott? Scott said theme versus setting.
Yeah, so I'm like theme versus thematic. Where Bob and I have been talking about this a lot. Like a game is thematic, and like a fishing game should feel like you're fishing. But any game could have a fishing theme on it and just be a deck builder or a card. And I think a lot of people, when they talk about a game being thematic, are really saying they like the theme of the game, not that the game is inherently thematic. And there's not a ton of games that are like, oh yeah, I feel like I'm doing this thing. And when you talk about video games, right, you talk about side scroller, like Castlevania type of thing. If I'm going to feel like I'm side scrolling this game, like that presents a challenge, right? What does that look like, and how does it play out?
Yeah, right on. Dream video games into a board game. Dream video game into a board game. Gosh, that's going to be a really tough one because the quick answer is like, sure, it would be awesome to see Final Fantasy, but Final Fantasy actually has one of my favorite CCGs. The Final Fantasy collectible card game is incredible, and that's all I really would want out of it. Like, I don't need a big miniature Final Fantasy VII game. I would buy it. I would absolutely buy it. There's Shovel Knight's another game I love a lot that has a version with like miniatures. I haven't gotten it yet, but I love Shovel Knight. So I'm not sure if I'm yearning for like a big awesome, but what would make a lot of money is something like a brand new Legend of Zelda. Like, let's think of like putting in some form of dungeons or bosses. The thing is, though, there's only like one Link, right? So one person's going to play as Link, and then I guess everyone else can play as Guardians, or dependent on the version of Zelda you bring out, or you do like a Zelda that's like a celebration of all Zeldas, and it's like all different kinds of,
it's like an Into the Spider-Verse Zelda.
Yeah, someone could be Toon Link, and someone could be Link from this and Link from that, and you could try and fight. Yeah, it could be something like that, or a Smash Brothers style board game that again brings in all those different IPs and does some kind of dueling thing. Could be neat. I think anything in the Nintendo verse. In a real style board, because Nintendo's really only used their IPs for kind of like Monopoly or Jengas or Topple Tower style games. Like I haven't really seen, though the Monopoly Gamer Edition for Nintendo was really cool. That's actually really good for a Monopoly game. So yeah, I guess maybe I guess it's Zelda for me. I guess I think that would be really neat to see what they would do. How about you, Ryan?
I couldn't come up with one, so I'm going to go with Super Meat Boy. Inside the package, the package is a package of ground beef. As long as the ground beef stays good, you can play the game. So I think it's a retailer's dream because they're going to be able to sell Super Meat Boy, the board game, multiple times over because it's going to spoil in a couple days. So, Super Meat Boy, the board game.
There you go.
Here we go. I'm thinking some type of fighting game that's in the Tekken universe, or even just give me like every good fighting game, every Tekken, Street Fighter,
Dude, Street Fighter,
Capcom, but mix them all like that. It
sure.
becomes similar to like an Unmatched kind of thing, right? Where the characters have their different powers. You're running a team of 3 or 4. You've got a car in the middle for E Honda to beat up, right? Something.
Yeah, and if you were gonna say, since you brought up Unmatched, what would be your favorite aspect of Unmatched in your
for me personally?
Yeah, you personally.
That I've never played it.
So, yeah, I know you're a jerk.
Do you know I listened to our podcast we did with the Family Gamers from 2020. It came up on, I just saw it, and in that you picked like Cobble and something as your
Cobble
game
and Fog. Yeah,
sure. And so did Andrew. And I said then 3 years ago, I've never played Unmatched, and you're like, what? Are you serious? I'm like, I'll play it soon. It's 3 years later, still haven't played it.
So you still haven't played it. That's funny.
It's ridiculous. He's trying not to play.
Now I'm just trying not to.
Bob casually made like, an open world sandbox version of GTA. Yeah, it's funny. Like Western Legends kind of feels like a Red Dead Redemption style game, right? I feel like those sometimes are more successful where it's like it's not a Red Dead Redemption game, but it's its own thing, right? But it does draw influence from Red Dead Redemption, and GTA would kind of be the same unless someone did like, well, there was a Saints Row board game, right? Like I don't know if that was any.
Was there? I forgot about that.
Solid game.
It was also from a company that you wouldn't. It was from the same company that did some of the like Viking and like big war games, like historical war games.
Yeah,
and they also did Saints Row.
Would we ever make a custom deck for Unmatched? There's so many good custom decks out there. I think I'm just gonna tweak some of the ones that are out there. So
start bringing in some anime characters to Unmatched. I want Unmatched anime. Bring me
that would be interesting.
Bring me Deku from My Hero. Bring me some Attack on Titan guys, and I bet that would be pretty awesome. Like I think people would like that a lot.
Maybe I'd try it when they do that.
Yeah, right. You wouldn't try it. You're a liar. Anyway, so Matt, let's talk about what you do in the board game industry. Let's talk about your role at Skybound. So give us a little, since we're running late on this one. We're not even hitting our pick 5 until like
we'll be quick.
We can run through this. We don't have to take a ton of time.
Yeah. So
I don't know what you guys usually roll for. I could sit here and talk with you guys all night long, and you bring up video games, and it's just gonna be we're just chatting.
Obviously, this is a hot topic. Yeah,
it's fun. No thanks. I'm the retail sales manager over at Skybound. We have a pretty small team though, so I work. I help with development of making the games and also pushing them out to stores and getting them into everyone's hands when they come out. We have a really exciting year this year. Last year, we didn't really come out with much. We released Wonderland's War out into the wild after the Kickstarter, and then Skybound Druid City parted ways. So Wonderland's War and all the Druid City games are with Druid City. And then we kind of we take a step back and look at like what our lineup was going to look like. So we didn't really come out with anything after that until this year, where we have about 7 new titles coming out.
Nice.
And it's exciting. Yeah, we just came back from Gamma and had a really fun show, being able to show people what we got coming out.
That's awesome. Yeah. So what are some of the releases that we can look forward to? I know.
Yeah, like Isaac's showing, our first game out was Wine Night, right? And Wine Night is hands down the lightest, most casual game we've ever released. It's literally questions on cards, and whoever has the best story gets a point. We really wanted to come out with a game you didn't have to teach, you didn't have to, there's people that you could go out to dinner with, and you don't want to have any rules going, but you could take 10 cards to dinner with you and just like go around the table with some of the fun questions that are in there. There's over 300 questions, and they're quite fun. So here's our store, and there's some of the new games we have out. Booty Call is the one right after that. Booty Call is from Extra Fabulous. As far as the artist goes, Zach Stafford, he's a web comic artist, and that's our ghost dating game where one player is a ghost and everyone. It's a Mysterium meets like well, I'm trying to think. Oh, like Spyfall. Mysterium meets like Spyfall. So
Spyfall.
one player
Okay.
is a ghost and everyone else is a medium trying to hook up with said ghost.
Yeah.
And then to the left of that is No Context. That hits retail shelves at the end of this month, actually.
Yep.
And that's Mr. Levenstein's art, his amazing artwork. And that's like Dixit meets Joking Hazard, where you are trying to get people to guess your image, but you can only use other image cards, and it ends up being hilarious. The rest of the stuff
like
as
a
you
cool
go down,
party game.
what's that?
Looks like a cool party game. That was one that when you guys shared about it, I kind of looked into.
Yeah, if you go up just a little bit more, there everything else is older catalog stuff, so you can stay up there. Actually, after I talk about No Context, you can jump up to us because I have a game in my hand. But the No Context is designed by Banana Chan and Jason Slingerland, so I mean that says enough right there.
Yeah.
If you've been following those designers, and we're really excited to get that out there. We got some fun stuff planned this month for some people, and May 31st is the retail on that, but you can we have a digital right now. You can grab a copy today. You can go to the site and grab it. We have a couple Gen Con releases coming out. We have Trial by Trolley is probably our biggest title.
Yeah.
Follow Skybound games, Super Fight, maybe Trial by Trolley. We have an expansion for Trial coming out in June. It's called Vacation Expansion, Travel by Trolley, if you will, and it's 200 new cards and 2 modifiers, tracks, 200 of all those, and that's really exciting stuff because it's our first really big expansion for that game, and we plan to keep rolling on Trial by Trolley. Cool. The game's great. The 2 Gen Con releases, one's called Kiss the Goblin and one's called Pirate Tales. I'm going to keep you guys for 1 second. We're going to play a round of Kiss the Goblin right now as we speak. So this comes out.
Nice.
We actually launching this at San Diego Comic-Con, July 21st, with a full launch in August at Gen Con, right? Like we will have it at San Diego, but we'll also have a booth on the floor at Gen Con for it. And this is our alignment guessing party game from Tony Tran. Basically, what you do is one player will get a secret alignment, like an RPG alignment, whether it be chaotic good, lawful neutral, or whatnot, and then a situation like, what do you like on your pizza? And you then have to describe what your favorite pizza is, being like a chaotic good, right? And then the group has to then try to guess your alignment. So what I'll do, so here's how we're going to play this real quick. We're going to do a round, and we'll let Isaac be the one that's going to tell us. So how we're going to do this, well, how the game works is each player gets a set of color, like a small colored set of cards. And these cards are actually your alignment. They're all your alignments. And you take a white bordered one and a black bordered one. You put them together, and that's your alignment. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick an alignment. Okay. And actually, it's going to be random because I don't want to know what it is either. Okay, so what I do is I shuffle these up. This will only take a second. And then, Ryan, I'm going to need you to close your eyes.
Yep.
As I'm going to close my eyes as well, so that we do not know the alignment. All right, this is truly random. I have these cards shuffled. I'm just going to grab one of each. I don't know what I'm doing here.
Defeat your nerds, Ryan.
I already finished them, man.
And then anyone's still watching. All right, so I'm going to put my head down so that I don't see it. Just let me know if you get your alignment from this, okay? All right, so I'm going to hold these up. Is it a white border and a black border?
Yep.
Okay. You good?
I'm good.
Okay. I don't know which way is the correct way, but as long as you know.
I'm good.
Okay. So you have your alignment. So Ryan and I don't know your alignment. I'm putting these cards back in the box. And then I'm going to draw a card. This is your card. Describe your perfect date. So as your alignment, describe your perfect date, Isaac.
Perfect date. Oh gosh. My perfect date would be, I'm trying to think of somebody that would fit this. Let's go with.
If you need another prompt card, I can draw another prompt card. Or, if you think you can get into there. Just, I know sometimes it can be hard.
I'm going to go with, what do you count? Rorschach? Rorschach from,
Watchmen.
The Watchmen is my perfect date.
That's who you're taking on your perfect date?
Oh yeah, and we are going to go to the park. We're gonna sit on a bench and do a whole lot of nothing. Just watch people.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Ryan, you got an idea what he might be?
Yeah,
You know if you lined this up well?
Yeah. So I'm trying to think. My understanding of Rorschach, I think he would lean more toward lawful. Do you know him more than I do?
Well, I think if you're gonna say lawful, I'm thinking he's lawful neutral. Because if he's picking a character that's like a lawful,
I think he's lawful
maybe
if I'm
neutral,
remembering correctly. It's been a long time.
Isaac, are you lawful neutral?
So
I'm not. You got half of it right. Half
I'm
of
going
it.
lawful good.
You got half
the
right.
park.
You were lawful good?
No.
That's what I'm going.
No, he is neutral.
Neutral.
Neutral what?
Neutral. True
you
neutral.
True neutral.
Neutral. I'm like, what do you do if you're true neutral on a date?
If you're you're true neutral, you're true neutral on a perfect date. I mean, I don't know. I probably wouldn't have even went the Rorschach way because I think that threw us. I honestly probably would have just sat home, I would have just said, I don't know, like we're gonna eat a sandwich and that's gonna be it.
And that's
white bread.
You gotta be
the saddest date.
I was trying to think of a guy who just kind of exists, like he's not really like he's on his side, right?
Yeah. No, that makes sense because I was like, he's more lawful than chaotic, I guess.
Yeah, he's definitely not chaotic. Yeah, so that's interesting.
Yeah.
So listen, that little example is the whole game. It's a fun little experiment. Cool. That I had out of Gamma last week and it went really well. We were like having a blast playing it. Tons of questions. You've inherited a haunted mansion from a distant relative. What do you do with it? And if you're chaotic evil, I don't know what you're gonna do. There's some really chaotic evil brings out.
You open a park.
Really funny stories. And
that's good.
One of my favorite ones I was telling people was, okay, so you're neutral evil. So let's say you're neutral evil, and it's like you see an elderly person attempting to cross a busy street. What do you do, right? As neutral evil, I would probably help her across the street, but then I would like steal her walker, right? Like,
I was about to say you gotta take her purse while you're walking away.
You gotta get the evil in there, which makes the stories really fun. So that is gonna come out August 2nd.
Nice.
And it is $17.99. We're stoked about it. We can't wait.
That's cool.
Get y'all copies as soon as we get them. We're waiting on them.
That's awesome.
And then Pirate Tales is one coming out too that comes out truly on August 2nd. It's a little pirate squirrel game. I wasn't prepared.
Pirate squirrel game.
Yeah, pirate.
At least I still have pants on and I'm getting up. This is Pirate Tales, guys. This is I
love the art.
It's a set collection game where you play pirate squirrels and you're hiding nuts all across the island and trying to remember where you place them. Because in reality, I think it's like 80% of squirrels forget where they hide their nuts anyway in like real life. So this is kind of like a fun little take on that. And super simple rules. You teach it fast. It plays in 10 to 15 minutes. It's going to hit the Sushi Go kind of like audience, like weight wise. It's just a quick Sushi Go like, and we'll have a big booth and we'll be playing this a lot too. So
awesome.
This is by Whitney Lorraine, who's also designing Charcuterie, which is coming out later as well.
I saw that. That's
cool. Same designer. She's great. She was really excited. We saw her at Gamma last week too, and we were playing this up. So come get your little pirate squirrel action on with us August 2nd. Gen Con's gonna be a lot of fun. We're gonna have a ton of games there for sale.
That's awesome. It's awesome. Later this summer when we launch the game chat after dark, we'll have you on and I'll talk about where we hide our nuts.
You have me on anytime. I'll hop on and we can chat anytime.
Oh, don't put that up. Oh my gosh.
Don't feed Bob.
All right. So the game chat presents. Let's wrap this up.
All
right.
For pick 5, we pick board games with video game roots. It's not the top, it's not the best, it's not the definitive top 5. It's just 5 games you like that are in the board game world that have video game roots. So we just kind of
do it quick.
Round it around. Matt, give us one.
All right, so we're doing.
Just give us one.
Pick 5 video games. All right, so I'll Stardew Valley.
Got it. Yep,
awesome.
Stardew Valley.
Awesome.
I love the video game. Never played the board game, but I would definitely try it. I've got Orlog. It's the dice game from Assassin's Creed. It's actually pretty fun. It's a little 2-player.
It is.
little 2-player dice chucking pressure luck game. It's fun. I have it around here somewhere, but I couldn't find it before we started the show.
That's one I like that one better in the video game, but I do.
Really?
I have the physical one too because I think it's neat as heck.
Yeah,
to
it's
have
cool.
like a physical version of it. But
Yep.
I think I played that more than the actual thing. Jetpack Joyride.
Yep.
It's number 5 from Lucky Duck. Jetpack
Nice.
Joyride.
Nice.
Love
I
a
gotta
good
go.
poly game.
I gotta go old school and just go World of Warcraft, right? World of Warcraft did or was it just Warcraft? I don't quite
Just
remember.
Warcraft,
There was
I
a
think.
Warcraft board game.
Yeah.
Double it up, a little StarCraft board game as well. Warcraft, StarCraft.
Nice. I had Jetpack Joyride on my list also. Jetpack Joyride was surprisingly good. I did not have high expectations for it because I was like, how do you do this? And it actually turned out to be a lot of fun, and my kids loved it.
Nice.
Yep. Yeah, that was my introduction to Lucky Duck. Bob
That's
introduced
right.
me to the team, and we played that, and I really enjoyed it. From the Op, I believe, right? It's
Yep,
Cuphead.
that's the Op.
So my son and his good friend Jacob love Cuphead. They love this. They feel the chaos matches the game. Playing that on its hardest levels. So
I do have one by me. I have not played this yet though, but I'm gonna announce.
Let's put it on there. Yeah.
Put it up.
Binding of Isaac.
Oh,
yeah.
Anyone played the Binding of You, Isaac?
I feel like I should, but I never have.
Yeah.
I think I need to try it.
Yeah, I don't even know much about it.
I see it all the time.
I just got this
I know the
game.
property.
And it is based after a video game. It's a card game. We'll check it out. It's done a ton of money on Kickstarter.
Yeah.
So we'll
It's
see
been
how
out there for a while.
See how it
I
does.
feel like I need to try it.
Yeah.
Sorcerer's Arena was
a
an
video
app
game.
prior. It was an app.
Yeah.
Oh,
Prior to
it was?
it was a
Yeah.
mobile app prior to.
I didn't know that either. Ryan told me that.
Yeah. And so even though I never played the mobile app, actually my kids played the mobile app. But I really like this. It's a really cool.
Is the app the same thing as the game?
It's you choose a team and you go head to head. So yeah.
Interesting.
I don't think it's an arena battle game like this is.
You don't move characters around. You just
I don't
select your
think
powers.
so. I think it's more the powers and stuff like that. But apparently, like it was an app. My kids played it. They knew about it way before the board game came out. So
I've never played the board game of this, or the video game. But,
crap! It's on my list too, Isaac. You're taking
Oh, that game rules.
Anno 1800.
Anno's so good.
That game rules. Anno is you got Anno too. Anno is really good.
So good.
Nothing like the video game, but
I don't
it
such
just
a good
shares
board
the
game.
same name.
Yeah,
It's
great
not even
board game.
close to that.
Yeah.
It's just I don't know how many I've done. I feel like
3. You got 2 more.
2 more. All right, I'm gonna toss in a game I want to try that I haven't yet, and that's Northgard. Which that's the Viking RTS. So I really do want to play it. Prices held me away a little bit on that one, but I do want to play some Northgard.
Yep. I was going to say Anno 1800, so let's go with. Man, I got nothing. Anno 1800. So.
Anno 1800. He took yours. You can't just be expected to come up.
I know, really. He didn't tell me he was going to take mine.
My next one's over there. It's too big of a game. I didn't feel like dragging it out, but that's Mechs and Minions, League of Legends game.
Sure.
Love it. Love
Loosely
the
based
programming.
on a video game.
Yeah, but it is. It's based on a video game. IP.
Yeah,
it's
I
based
love
on
the
an
chaos
IP.
in that game.
Yeah, no, that game's cool. I keep saying these. I haven't even played these yet, but Mega Man did a board game as well, and I love Mega Man.
Love it.
So, and they have pre-painted like miniatures, and they look really cool. So, I'll give a little shout out to Mega Man, even though I have no idea how the game is.
Nice. So Doom. I remember seeing Doom. I've watched people playing it. I haven't played it myself, but I've seen the board game on multiple tables. But Doom is game that has come over from the video board game, come into the board game scene through a video game.
Right on.
Mega Man, you talk about the game that like made me beg for Nintendo power in grade school, so I could figure out the order to beat these guys. But speaking of Nintendo, my 5th pick is the only version of Monopoly I will play if you ask.
Yeah, that's the one, man. That game's a lot of fun.
Monopoly gamer, just a blast. My son's got a good friend who, for his birthday, he's like, I'm gonna get him a game. He loves all the Monopolies. I'm like, we're buying a Monopoly gamer, and his parents are gonna thank us. Yes, he will enjoy that game. So.
Yes. Yep.
Cool.
Is that 5? It's 5 all around. Right?
I think so.
I think so. I feel like I've done 5.
So Bob
I feel like
put
I've done
one out
50.
there. Adrenaline is
Oh, yeah.
Adrenaline's a first-person shooter as a board game, so it's solid.
It is solid. Yeah.
So
It's
we
been
like
out
to
for a while.
we usually like to finish with like, what are you playing? So
Yeah.
what's hit your table in the recent past? Or
For me, it was that Deep Rock Galactic. I mean, we were on the.
Mm-hmm.
I just played it Saturday night, so it's like super fresh in my mind. We played that, and we played My Shelfie from Lucky Duck Games,
Nice.
which was really good. Actually, very much more thinky than I don't know why I didn't expect it to be, but it was really great. Philip Walking Harding is his name. I mean, that guy, he knows how to design a game, man.
He really does.
Yeah, there it is.
Oh man, am I only one without My Shelfie?
yeah, everybody else in the world has it.
That's good.
Ah, jeez.
The only thing that I thought was a little weird with it is that since it stands up, I was having trouble seeing the colors because the shadow was like, so I had to keep tilting it back so the light would hit it right. But otherwise, I really, really enjoyed it.
Nice.
What you been playing?
I've been playing French Quarter. French Quarter from Motor City Gameworks.
Motor City.
Sponsor of the show.
So good. Real good. French Quarter is really solid. I really, really love the theme of French Quarter. And if you had to, after playing it this weekend, if you had to sit there and tell me where does it fall in line with, I feel like it's closer to Fleet the Dice game than it is to Motor City. So, as far as difficulty, theme, all of that. And then we just played our first game of Dice Veggies. Cool. This Kids Table Board Gaming, played it with my son and his friend. It's a real cool dice drafting. Like this one's definitely going to hit families. This is really solid. If you're playing games with kids and you like dice drafting, this one's really cool.
I like the art. I like the cover on that.
Pretty light. Yeah.
Yeah, it's real good.
Yeah, I love dice games. So 2 things. Can't stop playing this one. I love it. From Devere, Bamboo in the world of the Bitoku worlds, or third in the series.
I played
Bitoku.
I love Bitoku this weekend for the first time.
This is a small box, but there's a lot of game in this box. Really, really enjoy that. And and this new 2-player from Gigamic, Quantic.
Nice.
It's a small 2-player from Gigamic. Usually their boxes are a bit bigger than this, but who can get 4 in a row of a different shape. It's like all their abstract games. My son and I love them. It's a play. It takes 5 minutes, rack it back up, and you're good to go. So
that's cool. It's awesome.
Good stuff.
Very cool.
Thanks for having me, y'all.
Yeah, Matt, where can people find your games, and where can people purchase things that you're involved with?
Yeah, just Skybound.com is that shops where you can get to our tabletop stuff. If you were looking to pick up something, all of our games are also, available via, your friendly local game stores.
Yep.
I am just on Twitter at Matt Faulisi, probably spelled somewhere. If not,
I'll put it in the show notes.
Right now, put it on there. On TikTok, it's the same at Matt Faulisi. I try to keep it pretty simple. Again, look forward to seeing y'all at some conventions and playing some games.
Absolutely. You can find all of One Board Family stuff at One Board Family, or go to oneboardfamily.com, where we host all of our board games and all board game reviews and previews and all that great stuff. And hey, guys, we're like 6 people away from 1,000 on TikTok. Why don't you check us out at One Board Family? So
you hit that 1,000 so we can start doing some live TikTok stuff.
Hit that 1,000. Let's do it.
I'm gonna unfollow you and then just follow you at the 1,000. I want to be the 1,000.
You'll be 1,001. There we go. So
you can find us at Everything Gaming with Sidekicks, specifically on all the Facebook stuff, the Twitter, the Instagram, and mostly on TikTok, because we were doing a lot of content. Enjoy doing stuff there and having a good time. And I know they're not watching tonight, but probably some of our most loyal watchers are Becky and Jason. Today's Becky's birthday.
Oh, nice!
I know they're gonna watch this on the back end. So happy birthday,
cool.
Becky.
Happy birthday, Becky and Jason.
Yeah. Just Becky, Jason's birthday.
Oh, just happy birthday, Becky.
Jason. No happy birthday, Jason. And if you want,
be weird. I guess it'll be weird if they shared a birthday, right?
If you want to sponsor the show, send us nerds and gummy clusters.
Today's show.
Gummy clusters.
They were good.
Man, I polished that off. It was good. I was very surprised. I went in very doubtful that I would enjoy those, and
he's like, man, they're gone.
It's good.
See, we got a bag of them. We don't have just a box. There's like a bag of them downstairs.
I know. That's what I'm going to the store for. So, all right, you guys have a great night. See ya.
See you, everybody.